Its shape is like a bullet in the wind. Much of our inspiration is taken from observing nature around us and like living creatures in the animal world, lions and tigers. This motorcycle has two eyes.
The R1 was introduced in 1998 as Yamaha's most powerful sport bike. It had a 998cc motor producing 150 horsepower. One year later, Yamaha revealed the R6, a 600cc middleweight version of its sport bike. Both machines continued the Kondo connection of man and motorcycle.
The most important thing about the R1 is the performance leap it represented in 1998 when it first came out. It was like nothing else. You know, we're used to incremental increases. The next year is last year's bike plus 3%, maybe 5%, you know. Up to that point, nobody had built a leader bike quite like it.
This is where the R1 and R6 are built. Yamaha's huge Iwata factory complex in Hamamatsu. Iwata Building Number 1 is the final assembly plant for Yamaha sport bikes.
On our newest bikes, the biggest challenge was developing electronic engine controls that would help the rider and provide more of a human sense or human feel to the bike.
Inside the factory, that human feel of the engine is checked by a test rider on each new bike. Each bike has what's called a fly-by-wire control system. Instead of traditional cables, a tiny computer connects the throttle to the engine. That computer can make 1,000 calculations a second as it constantly monitors and adjusts the engine's fuel and air mixture.
It's got fly-by-wire throttle, which to me, that's what we should be doing. We should be leading with technology, getting rid of cables and getting rid of those things and working toward electronics. Now, I'm not saying I want every one of my bikes to be cutting-edge technology, but when I go to the dealer to buy a new bike that I can take to the racetrack and go quick on and enjoy, I'd like it to be up at the forefront of technology.
The 600cc motor in the R6 cranks out 130 horsepower. And the bike's fly-by-wire technology makes all that power available almost instantly.
Immediate throttle response, big power. For a 600, you know, one of the most powerful 600s you can buy. Just as hard-edged as anything that's ever been sold for street use.
The new R1 engine puts out 158 horsepower sitting still. But beauty can increase performance. 4 special vents carved into the R1's bodywork create a vacuum effect. Cold air is pushed into the engine while hot air is drawn out of the exhaust. Special airflow adds as much as 30 horsepower when the R1 reaches top speed. Both the R1 and the R6 have what Yamaha calls a human feel. It's one way to describe the relationship between man and machine, a relationship based on good communication between bike and rider.
The R6 communicates, and that's why I think so many people go quick on it. That's why it's a secret, and that's why so many people love the R6. It talks to you and tells you where the limits are.
The R6 is light and quick and very easy to turn in a corner. The R1 is more powerful and has a very strong torque curve, which helps it accelerate very quickly.
The Iwata factory complex has been building Yamaha's latest generation of sport bikes since 1998. Things here change quickly, with new R1 and R6 models being introduced every other year.
The development of a sport bike is very difficult because as soon as a new model is ready for production, you must begin designing the next model that will replace it.
There's one constant here. Each new motorcycle reflects Yamaha's philosophy of making motorcycles that look good and are fun to ride.
Our emphasis in building sport bikes is to make them handle very well in corners and accelerate very quickly, because that's the way many people like to ride.
But at Yamaha, even the engineers are focused on beauty.
We put an emphasis on making sure riders enjoy the beauty of our motorcycles. So we think it's important to study beauty and figure out ways to balance the beauty of the bikes with the performance of the bikes.
Beauty and art shouldn't be separated from performance and efficiency. And Yamaha has that pretty clearly. You look at the way their bikes flow together and the way they choose the materials, even the colors, right? Even the wheel colors and the way they finish the fork legs. You can see Kondo in those bikes.
I think one of the greater successes of the R1 is in terms of styling, because they established a look and they haven't really departed from that look. You see an R1, you know it's an R1.
It takes a little more than an hour for a new R1 to complete its trip down the final assembly line inside building number 1 at the Iwata factory complex. When it's finished, it's more than a motorcycle. It's a mechanical object designed to marry man with machine.
I'm 5'8", that Yamaha fits me perfectly. The R1, the way the bars come back, the way the fuel tank is made and sculpted, the way the seat and the foot pegs relate, it just fits me. Just my personal, I like it. And different people and different sizes and different mentalities fit different bikes. But isn't that a big part of the sport, is what fits you, what makes you feel right. It makes me feel like a Grand Prix racer when I ride it.
The emotional or feeling side of the R1, that's Kondo. But would Kondo keep Yamaha successful on the racetrack? The only way to find out was for Yamaha to go racing at the World Championship level. As the last Japanese company to get into the motorcycle business, Yamaha has always used racing as a way to catch up.
Yamaha has used racing to develop its motorcycle since the beginning of the company. Racing is a real-world laboratory. We develop new technologies and our engineers learn from racing.
Three American riders have played a huge role in Yamaha's racing history. In 1978, Kenny Roberts became the first American to ever win World Championship.
This is the bike and the man that coached so many of us on motorcycle riding and sport bikes. Kenny Roberts on the Yamaha YZR 500.
Roberts was not only a remarkable rider, he was a self-taught engineer. He helped Yamaha develop a new aluminum chassis and suspension system for his race bikes. He came up with the idea of using a smaller diameter tire on the front wheel compared to the back. It made the bike more stable at high speeds, but harder to slow down going into corners. Roberts didn't seem to mind the trade-off. Roberts was also one of the first riders anywhere that used his knee to balance a bike in a corner.